Going meta creates detachment. That's one of the superpowers of going meta. You see, if you don't go sufficiently meta, you're going to be attached to the thing because you're going to identify with it. And of course, the best example of that is your own body. If you believe that you are this body, if you believe that you are this mind, this ego mind, you haven't gone sufficiently meta in your consciousness to realize that you are those things, but you're not just those things. Those are minor aspects of you. You're way beyond that. If you haven't done that meta move, then you're identified with the body, with your physical appearance, maybe even with your youth, with your beauty, with your wealth, with your fame, with your status, with your humanity, with your culture, with your religion, with your nation. You're identified with all that. And then anytime any one of those things gets threatened or destroyed, you take it personally because you're attached to it. You have to be because you're identified with it, right? Like if you're identified with being an American and America gets attacked, you're going to take it personally. And then you're going to act in dumb ways to defend that attachment. If you're a scientist, you're attached to being a scientist. Your whole career and your whole ego mind is invested in doing science. You're invested into realism, materialism, rationalism, atheism, other isms. You're so attached to those things that you can't even conceive of a reality otherwise. And so you're stuck with that. And you're going to suffer for all those attachments because all those attachments will end one day, whether it's with your physical death or with something else. Maybe you lose your career. Maybe your theory gets disproven. Maybe you write a book and then somebody writes a better book than you that trashes on your book, and then you're going to be butthurt about it. Why? Because you're attached to it. So the whole logic behind spirituality or awakening is that you go meta through the neti method. You go so meta that eventually you identify with absolutely nothing. And then nothing can hurt you. You become literally immortal. That's spiritual transcendence. That is your truest nature. Your truest nature is infinite transcendence. But of course, this is what makes spirituality so difficult and so controversial and so threatening and so confusing to people. It's confusing because your mind doesn't want a direct path towards complete detachment and transcendence and emptiness. Your mind wants to attach to stuff. Therefore, it makes spirituality into this very complicated, controversial, difficult ordeal simply because your mind, on its way to nothingness, your mind just wants to cling to absolutely everything that it can. So you personally suffer when you can't go sufficiently meta, and also important domains of life like science, logic, politics, religion, they also suffer when they're not able to go sufficiently meta. Jailbreaking your mind, which again is one of our goals here with this work, requires that the mind go meta. The mind is always engaged in an active process of constructing reality. But the mind is not aware that it's doing so, and it needs to keep denying that it's doing so. Why is it necessary to deny the construction of reality? Because if you don't deny it, you realize that reality is a construction, in which case it becomes illusory, and therefore it loses its reality. So reality is really just a lack of consciousness of the fact that you're dreaming this whole thing up. So the trick is to dream it up, but then to deny that you dreamt it. That's the whole game. That's the game everybody is playing. Your mom is playing this game. Your dad is playing this game. Muslims are playing this game. Christians are playing this game. Scientists are playing this game. Conservatives are playing this game. Progressives are playing this game. Marxists are playing this game. Capitalists are playing this game. That's the game humans play. We're always constructing reality to suit ourselves. And that's why we're so touchy about it too. You see, because when you're constructing your reality to suit yourself, it's very fragile. It's very easy for it to break apart. Therefore, the ego needs to get very defensive and very manipulative about how it goes defending that. That's why it loves to argue and to debate and to troll, to leave little nasty comments online and stuff like this, and to wage crusades and holy wars. Those are all the tactics and methods that it uses to convince itself, first and foremost, that it's not constructing reality. But of course, that is the very evidence that it's constructing reality. Because if you weren't constructing reality, why would you be struggling so hard to maintain it? Notice how hard you struggle to maintain it. Why would you get emotional about issues of God or science or logic or math or business or politics? Why would any of these things emotionally affect you? Unless your survival hinged on it. Unless these things were sandcastles that could go at any moment with the next wave. You see, the trick with science is that no amount of science can get you to realize that you're inside of a dream. Because science is happening within a frame. See, this is what scientists don't understand, is that they think that science is just like this universal solvent, this universal method that explains and touches everything. But it doesn't. Science is just like a picture within a frame hanging on a wall in a giant museum that's filled with 1,000 other paintings. Same goes for rationality. Rationality is not a universal solvent. Rationality is also just a single painting in a frame hung in a museum with 1,000 other paintings. The problem is that when you get stuck in any one frame, this frame could be science, rationality, skepticism, nihilism, atheism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, whatever. If you get stuck in that one frame, from your vantage point, it will seem as though that frame is all that there is. That's what a frame is. It seems total, but it's not total. That's the trick. To realize that it's not total, you have to be able to go meta. If you can't go meta beyond something, that thing ends up being the totality of your reality. But really, it's like you've just confined yourself to a kiddie pool. And you think that, well, this kiddie pool is as big as water gets. No, the kiddie pool is just some artificial thing you've been swimming in. There's a giant ocean out there that's 1 billion times deeper than your kiddie pool. But if you insist on staying in the kiddie pool, that's all you're going to know.